Hello students, welcome to my channel SDK Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss surface tension, viscosity and elasticity. So let us first know about surface tension. What is surface tension? Surface tension. Do you know what is surface tension? Surface tension is the property of a free surface of a liquid. Surface tension is the property of the free surface of the liquid, where that free surface of a liquid behaves like a stretched membrane. Have you seen any stretched membrane? Different kind of stretched membrane are seen in case of a trampoline. Okay, have you seen the trampoline? Whenever a person jumps into the trampoline, then what happens? That person again goes up due to the potential energy of that trampoline. Whenever a person jumps on that trampoline, at that time the trampoline displaced, the membrane displaced, and it acquires some potential energy. So that's why whenever it acquires some kind of potential energy, then it can convert the potential energy into the potential energy, and then the man goes up. So like that stretched membrane, a free surface of a liquid, the free surface of a liquid behaves like a stretched membrane. Okay, so this property is known as surface tension. So what is the actual cause of surface tension? So, or the molecular theory about the surface tension. What is the molecular theory about the surface tension? Suppose there is a beaker, okay, and this beaker up to this amount, it is filled up with water. Now we will consider three types of molecule. One molecule which is at the deep inside the liquid like this, another molecule which is here, and another molecule which is just here. So in this kind of molecule there are two kind of, or in this type here two kind of forces occurs. Two kind of force. What is those two, or what are those two kind of forces? One is cohesive force, the force between similar kind of molecules. Like the molecules which is present here is surrounded by all the molecules, all the other molecules of water. So it is attracted. So the force of attraction is the cohesive force. And what is adhesive force? Consider the wall. Consider this portion, the wall. The molecules which are attached towards the wall or here on that wall. So the two different kind of substances, one is the molecule of water, another one is the molecules of the glass. So the attraction between them is known as adhesive force, or the force between them is known as the adhesive force. Now consider this molecule which is present here. In this molecule, or for this molecule is surrounded by how many molecules? Several number of molecules, and all the molecules are of the molecules of the water. So it is attracted equally by all the molecules. Okay, so there is no net force on this molecule, because all the forces are cancel out each other. But for this kind of molecule, the forces are acted in this direction, but in the upper side there is no force. So that's why there is a particular resultant force acting on this direction or acting downwards, and due to that it acquires the upper surface acquires a potential energy, and it behaves like a stretched membrane. Suppose there is a bed sheet. So the bed sheet is placed like this, so the membrane is not stretched. Now four of you stretch the bed sheet on this direction, or one in this direction, another in this direction, another is this direction. Okay, so in different direction. So 10 students are attract or pull the bed sheet into different directions. So the bed sheet will reacts like a stretched membrane. So like that, here it is also behaves like a stretched membrane. So that's why the property by the virtue of which it behaves like a stretched membrane is known as the surface tension. In one word you can say it. In other word you can say surface tension is the force per unit length. What is that force per unit length? Suppose we consider the free surface like this. Now if we draw a line, then the forces are acting on that line in the opposite direction. So this force occurs per unit length, that is force per unit length is equals to the surface tension. So what is the SI unit? Newton meter to the power minus 1 will be the SI unit of this surface tension. Remember one thing, have you seen the water droplets? Whenever rain occurs, what happens? The raindrops are fall like this, raindrops are kind of like this. Why? Because they are kind of spherical in nature. Or if you drop a mercury, or if you put a mercury on a particular surface, so if you drop a mercury in your board or a particular wooden surface, then what will happen? You will see the mercury looks like this. So it becomes a spherical kind of, or all the water droplets, or if you throw some amount of water into air, then if you try to see the water molecules or water droplets rather, then you will see that they are spherical in nature. Why they are spherical in nature? Because of the surface tension. Generally it is seen that all the things or all this kind of liquid or this kind of structures try to be at minimum potential energy. This surface also try to get the minimum potential energy, and to get the minimum potential energy, they need the minimum surface. So if I gave you some amount of clay and I told you to make something which will have the smallest surface area, then the student who makes a sphere with that clay will have the minimum surface area. So that's why these raindrops or this mercury or this kind of surface try to get the minimum potential energy. So that's why they try to get the minimum surface area. So that's why they become spherical. Now few things related with surface tension, or few ideas about surface tension, or few occurrence about surface tension, like in case of paintbrush. Have you seen the paintbrush? Yes. So paintbrush, suppose there is a glass of water. Now the glass of water is filled with water. Now if you put a paintbrush, so the bristles will be like this. Bristles will apart from each other. Bristles are not close to each other, but whenever you put it out from the glass, then what will happen? The bristles kind of stick together to form this kind of structure. So why the bristles form this kind of structure? Because whenever the bristles goes down deep into the water, there is all over water, but whenever you pull it up, so they produce, or in between the bristles there forms thin film of water. Okay, and that or those thin films of water try to contract, try to get the minimum surface area. So that's why they contract, and as they contract, the bristles come close with each other and they form this kind of structure. Okay, this is one example. Another example, suppose in case of camphor, if you put some amount of camphor into water, you will see that camphor will dance. Okay, dancing camphor. Why the camphor will dance? Dance means not dance like this, but what is the dance? Dancing means it will not keep at one place. It will move one place to another place on the water. Why this phenomenon occurs? This phenomenon occurs due to surface tension depends on few factors. One of the factor is dissolved substance. Whenever organic substances dissolve in water, the surface tension of the water decreases. So suppose there are some amount of water in a beaker. Now if you put a chunk of camphor here, then what will happen? It will dissolve into water, and from there surface tension reduces. Okay, but in all the other places surface tension remains same. So an unbalanced force occurs here, or unbalanced force acts on the camphor. So that's why the camphor jumps into the next place like here, and when it goes there it will dissolve there, and the same phenomenon occurs there. So it will move from one portion to another portion. So this is also an example of surface tension. So what happened in previous days, when the ships are not that good, technically they are not that good, at that time people used to carry the barrel of liquid oil. So whenever waves, or in case of a stormy, when the ship is in the storm, at that time the height of the waves are very high. So to calm down the waves, so to decrease the waves, length of the waves, they used to make hole into the barrel so that oil can come out, and whenever the oil spill over the area, then the surface tension decreases, and that's why the height of the wave decreases and the sea calm down. Okay, so this is also an example of surface tension. So what are the factors on which surface tension depends? Surface tension depends on few factors. So first factor is temperature. Generally it is seen that if we increase the temperature, surface tension will decrease. Okay, in case of soluble impurities, in case of soluble impurities, there are two kinds of soluble impurities are there. One is organic and another one is inorganic. Whenever organic substances are dissolved into water, the surface tension of the water decreases, and in case of inorganic substances, surface tension increases. Okay, on electrification of the surface of water, it is generally seen that the surface tension reduces. Okay, next, the substance present outside or the surface in contact. Like suppose there is some water, okay, and there is hot air or dry air. So in case of dry air, if it is surrounded by the dry air, the surface tension is more than that of the moist air. So whenever water is surrounded by the dry air, the surface tension is more than whenever it is surrounded by the moist air. So these are the few factors on which surface tension depends. Okay, so these are this is all about surface tension. Okay, so surface tension is the particular property of a free surface by the virtue of which it behaves like a stretched membrane. Okay, or you can say force per unit length is also surface tension. The force acting per unit length on the surface, per unit length of the surface, is known as surface tension also. Okay, next let us come to know about viscosity. What is viscosity? Suppose if you spill some amount of water into the ground, into the floor, what will happen? The water will move from one portion to another portion. Okay, it will move slowly, but surely it will move. If the surface is not plane, so generally it is seen that there is some depression or there is a kind of slope, so it will flow on that slope. So if you look carefully, then you will see the water will flow like this, or the tip of the water is like this. Okay, the tip of the water is kind of this, not the tip is exactly flat, but the tip is kind of rounded. Why the tip is kind of rounded? Have you thought about this? Why the tip is this kind of rounded, not this plain tip? Because of the viscosity. What is then viscosity? Viscosity is the property of a particular fluid or particular liquid by the virtue of which one layer, few consecutive layers of liquids are there. So suppose consider this is one layer, this is another layer, this is another layer, this is another layer. So due to which a relative motion between them is created. The property by the virtue of which the relative motion between the layers created is known as viscosity. Is known as viscosity. Do you know glass is a highly viscous liquid? It is so much viscous that there is no apparent displacement or movement is seen in case of the glass, but it is a highly viscous liquid. So viscosity is the property by the virtue of which one layer doesn't or try to hold the another layer or hold the consecutive layer. This layer try to move, but this layer hold it back. This layer try to move, but this layer try to hold it back. So there is an apparent displacement, apparent movement, apparent speed created between the layers. So that's why it is not like this flat that all the layers are moving in a same speed, but rather they are having some relative speed. So this property is known as viscosity. This property is known as viscosity. So the property by the virtue of which there is relative motion created between the layers, or one layer doesn't try to hold the another layer, another consecutive layer, is known as the viscosity. Next, there are two kind of flow of liquid is there. One is known as tube flow or streamline flow or steady flow. Okay, so you can say tube flow, streamline flow, steady flow. All this flow of liquid is same. Okay, so what this tube flow, streamline flow or steady flow means? Whenever it flows or a liquid flows, suppose a liquid flows through this place. Okay, now if we consider 3 points, suppose the point is A, here the point is B, here the point is C. Now here the velocity is VA. In this point the velocity is VA. In this point the velocity is VB. In this point the velocity is VC. And these are directed along the arrow direction. So in this case, or in this type of flow, in different point velocity may be different, but with respect to time they remain constant. Suppose you measure the velocity at a point A, B and C as VA, VB, VC at 10 AM. Okay, now again at 10:30 AM you measure the velocity and you see that velocity remain constant or remain same. At 4 p.m. you will come and again measure the velocity at these places. So if they remain same, then we can say the velocity is, or the flow is, streamline flow or steady flow or tube flow. So what is streamline flow, steady flow or tube flow? In this case, or in this type of flow of liquid, if the velocities at different point remain constant over time, then it is known as streamline flow or steady flow. Then another type of flow of liquid is there, which is known as turbulent flow. What do you mean by turbulent flow? Turbulent flow. In case of turbulent flow, velocity doesn't remain same. Suppose this is VA, VB, VC, but after some time VA changes, VB changes, VC changes. So if the velocity at different places changes with respect to time, then it is known as turbulent flow. Okay. Next, another thing is there, that is known as terminal velocity. What kind of velocity? Terminal velocity. Terminal. What do you mean by terminal? Term end, term finish. Terminal means which finished or which completed. So terminal, at the end. So what is terminal velocity? Terminal velocity is whenever a body is flowing or is ascend through a viscous medium, then after falling through a certain distance, it acquires a maximum velocity. So the maximum velocity acquired by that body when the body falls through a viscous medium, then it is known as terminal velocity. What kind of velocity? Terminal velocity. Okay, so whenever a body ascends through a viscous medium, then it attains a maximum velocity, and that maximum velocity attained by the body is known as the terminal velocity. Okay, so this is also done. Next, there is a theorem which is known as Bernoulli's theorem. So in case of steady flow or streamline flow of a incompressible liquid, the potential energy per unit mass, the kinetic energy per unit mass, and the pressure energy per unit mass, if you add those energies, then the total energy of the fluid remain constant. So the total energy of a fluid, total energy of a particular fluid, or in case of total energy, in case of a not fluid, in case of a liquid, you can say, in case of a liquid, incompressible non-viscous liquid. So 2 point is very necessary: incompressible and non-viscous. In case of incompressible non-viscous fluid flow or liquid flow, the total energy remains constant. The total energy per unit mass remain constant, or you can say the sum of potential energy per unit mass, kinetic energy per unit mass, and the pressure energy per unit mass remains constant. Okay. Now let us consider about pressure energy per unit mass. What is pressure energy per unit mass? Suppose there is a beaker and there is an outlet present here having cross-sectional area A. Okay, a liquid is present here, whose density is rho. Liquid with density rho. There is a piston present here, so you can move the piston outward, you can move the piston inward. Okay, now at this height, suppose this is the height h, at this height the pressure in the, at this point the pressure is P, constant. At a particular height or a particular depth the pressure is constant. Now if P is the pressure, then what is the force acting on this piston, in this piston, on this piston particular? The force acting on this piston is, what is the area? Total area is A, so P into A is the force acting on this piston. Okay, next, if we displace the piston inward through a distance x, then what should be the work done? Work done will be force into displacement. Displacement is here x, so what is force here? P into A is the force and displacement is x. Okay, now this work done remains as potential energy. Okay, or you can say what amount of mass is input due to the shift of this piston. There is no kinetic energy developed because the kinetic energy is very small, because the velocity is very small. When the piston is slightly shifted very slowly, then some amount of water is inserted, and due to that velocity will not increases, and due to that there is no kinetic energy, but the potential energy increases. Potential energy, that work which you done is stored as the potential energy. Now what is the mass of that water? If mass, how will you find the mass? Mass is equals to, what is the volume? If A is the cross section, then cross section into displacement is the volume, so AX is the volume, and to get the mass we need to multiply it with the density. What is the density? Rho is here the density, so multiply it with rho and you will get the mass, total mass. So AX rho is the mass. So what is the pressure energy per unit mass? So pressure energy per unit mass, pressure energy per unit mass will be work by mass or energy by mass. Pressure energy, so what is the pressure energy? Pressure energy is work, this is also energy because work energy equivalent. Okay, so that potential energy PAX by AX rho, A cancel out, XX cancel out, so P by rho is the pressure energy. Remember this thing, okay, because we need to find out the mathematical statement of Bernoulli's theorem. Next, so P by rho is the pressure energy per unit mass, P by rho. So let us write pressure energy per unit mass. So we are getting pressure energy per unit mass. Pressure energy per unit mass is equals to, what is? P by rho. Now what is kinetic energy? Kinetic energy for m mass will be half m, if the velocity of the liquid is v, so half mv square. So kinetic energy per unit mass, what is that? By m, so half mv square by m, cancel out, half v square. Now what is the potential, or what is the first pressure energy, then kinetic energy? What is the potential energy? Potential energy, very easy. Potential energy, find out potential energy. What is potential energy? M mass, g acceleration due to gravity, and at h depth it will be mgh. So for per unit mass, potential energy per unit mass will be mgh by m. So it will be gh. So sum of these three energies remains constant. So what is Bernoulli's theorem? So Bernoulli's theorem says that the total energy per unit mass remain constant. So the total energy is pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy, or you can say potential energy head, kinetic energy head and pressure energy head remain constant. So P, so potential energy per unit, at first pressure energy P by rho plus kinetic energy half potential energy, this is pressure energy per unit mass, potential kinetic energy per unit mass half v square plus potential energy per unit mass gh remains constant. This is known as Bernoulli's theorem. And according to Bernoulli's theorem, we can explain different phenomena. What are the phenomena? First phenomenon, in case of storm, it is seen that the roof of the houses, roof of those houses which are not very stable, excuse me, suppose the roof is made up of tin or straw, so at that time it is seen that the roof flows away or blown away by the wind. Why? Due to the pressure? No, due to the force of the air? No, due to the pressure difference. What happens? Inside the air or inside the house there is air, but the air doesn't have any kinetic energy or very least kinetic energy. So we need to see that the total energy remains constant. So as the pressure energy or as the kinetic energy is very less, so pressure energy will be high here. So here will be high pressure, and here at the upper surface the kinetic energy is much more than that of the kinetic energy of the air inside the house. So at that time here the low pressure created, and we know air always try to go from high pressure to low pressure. So upward force act on this roof, and that's why it is blown away by those strong current of wind. Okay, another example. Suppose there are two pages. If we take two pages of your physical science book, suppose there are two pages of your physical science book, and if you blow through this part, they are very close to each other. If you blow through this part, you will see that these two pages kindly stuck together. Why? Because as soon as you blow from here, then the velocity of this air increases, and according to Bernoulli's theorem the total energy must remain constant. So as velocity increases, so the kinetic energy will increases, so the pressure will decrease. So low pressure created inside here or inside the within the pages, and high pressure created here. So due to that it stuck. In case of swing of a ball, cricket ball is polished from one surface. So suppose this part is polished. So whenever a bowler ball it above 118 to 120 km per hour or so, then air can easily go, so go from this side, because this is the polished surface. So here the kinetic energy is more, so pressure energy will be less, and here the kinetic energy is less, so the pressure will be more. So this is high pressure, this is low pressure, so air will try to move from this point to this point. So that's why the ball will move inward. So all the coaches are advised to the batsman to see the ball. If they can see the ball, they can see the shiny portion, then they can understand in what direction the swing will going to happen. In case of a train, whenever there is a through train passing from the platform, then there is an announcement that you are requested to keep safe distance. So why you are requested to keep safe distance? The train will come up on the platform? No, it will not come up, because you can, but you can go and collide with the train. Why? Because whenever you face the train, suppose the train is going like this, so with the train, amount of air also, or the adjacent air also go through the go at a speed of the train. So high speed or the kinetic energy of the air in front of me increases, whereas that is back of me remains same. So there high pressure created. Because of the Bernoulli's theorem, the total energy remain constant. So if kinetic energy becomes greater, so pressure energy should be low, and in the back side kinetic energy is less, so pressure energy must be greater, so that the total sum remain constant. So in that case, low pressure is created in front of me and high pressure at the back. So all the air try to go here in front of me, and in that path I am standing, so they will push me towards the train. They will push me towards the train, or I can collide with the train. So these are the few phenomena you can explain with the help of Bernoulli's theorem. Like another phenomenon is there, that is the phenomenon of aeroplane, how aeroplane moves. So that is also, or that can be also understand by this Bernoulli's theorem. Next, what is elasticity? You know what we mean by elasticity, or what is elastic material? A material is said to be elastic if on application of force the body deforms, and if you take away the force from there, if you withdraw the force from there, it will regain its shape and size, then the body is elastic. So what is elasticity? Elasticity is the property of a body by the virtue of which it regains its shape and size, regains its configuration, similar configuration like previous, shape and size, whenever the force is withdrawn. Suppose there is a ball, or suppose there is a pen. So if you apply force, what will happen? Suppose there is a pen. Let me see. Suppose there is a pen. So the pen is like this. So if you give some amount of force, then the pen will bend. Then on releasing the force, the pen will regain its shape. So the property is known as elasticity. So the property is known as the elasticity. Okay. So whenever if we apply force on a particular ball, then what will happen? A ball or a soft ball. Then what will happen? The ball will deform, and whenever you withdraw the force, the ball will again regain its shape or size. This property is known as elasticity. Okay. Next, so what is elastic limit then? Elastic limit is a particular limit of force beyond which, if you apply more force, then on withdrawing the force, the body will not come to its original position. There is a permanent deformation created. Okay, so that force is known as the elastic limit. The maximum amount of force is known as the elastic limit. So what is then perfectly elastic body? A body is said to be perfectly elastic if after withdrawing the force, the body regains its original shape, exactly as same as previous. Then the body is perfectly elastic. But the pen is not perfectly elastic, because if you bend the pen and after withdrawing the force, the pen slightly bends. You can see a slight bend on that pen, a slight bend on that pen. So it is not perfectly elastic. It is elastic because some amount of deformation is there, but the body will regain its kind of original shape, more or less the original shape. So that's why it is elastic but not perfectly elastic. Okay, so whenever you deform these kind of elastic substances, so there is a force inside them which will help them to regain its position. So this is known as the force of restitution or restoration force. Restoration means it is restoring its shape and size. So the force of restitution or restoration per unit area is known as stress. Stress. S-T-R-E-S-S. Stress. Stress is the force of restitution which occurs from inside, which is equal to the force which will you give from the outside per unit area. The force of restitution per unit area is known as the stress. So stress is equals to force by area. So what is the dimension of stress? M L T to the power minus 2 by L square. So you will get what? M L to the power minus 1 to the power minus 2. So it is a kind of pressure. Okay. Next, what is strain then? Strain. I am giving you a practical example of strain. Suppose you have not learned the lessons for the exams and the day before exam you need to read so that you need to pass the exam. So there is a force inside from inside of you develop which will force you to study. So that force due to the pressure, due to the external force. What is the external force here? The external exam. The exam is the external force. Due to that, the internal force is created, which pressurizes you, is known as the stress. Okay, so the force of restitution per unit area is stress, whereas strain is the deformation created per unit deformation. Deformation is per unit change in configuration, per unit change in configuration or change in configuration divided by the original change or sorry original configuration. Okay, so the fractional change in configuration. The fractional change in configuration is known as strain. Fractional change in configuration. That is, suppose if previously length is L, now length become L plus delta L. Delta L is a very small change, so it will be longitudinal strain. So longitudinal strain will be del L is the change and it changes from L. So this is the fractional change. So it is longitudinal strain. Okay. So surface strain. What is surface strain? Suppose the surface is at first S. Now the surface increases to S plus del S. So what is the fractional change in surface? Del S by S. So this is surface strain. And volume strain. What is volume strain? Suppose at first the volume is V. Next, the volume increases to or decreases to V minus del V with applying pressure. So del V is the change. So del V changes from V. So that's why this is the fractional change or change per unit configuration, change in configuration per unit configuration. Change in configuration per unit configuration. That is change in length per unit length, change in volume per unit volume, change in surface per unit surface. So this is known as strain. Fractional change, you can say fractional change or change in configuration per unit configuration. Both you can say is known as the strain. Okay. Next, Hooke's law. What is Hooke's law? Do you know what is Hooke's law? Within the elastic limit, the stress is proportional to strain. Within the elastic limit, the stress is proportional to strain. Okay, say stress by strain is equals to constant. Okay, so this is Hooke's law. So stress is proportional to strain, or stress by strain is constant. Okay, so this is known as the Hooke's law. Okay, next, what you can say, Young modulus, or in case of Young modulus, do you know what is the Young modulus? Young modulus is the ratio of longitudinal stress to the longitudinal strain. Now, what is longitudinal stress? Longitudinal stress. Suppose there is a wire. Okay. Now, if you apply a force or apply a weight here, so weight is a kind of force. So a force of restitution occurs there inside the wire. So if the area is A and that force is A, force of restitution, so the longitudinal stress will be force per unit area. Now, if on application of force, at first the length is L, and on application of force, the wire increases its length by del L. Del L is the increasing length. So, what is the length after L plus del L? So, what is the change in length? Del L is the change in length. So, longitudinal strain is del L by L. That is change in length per unit length. Change in length or per unit length. Change in length per unit length. Or you can say fractional change in length is longitudinal strain. So, Young's modulus Y is equals to stress divided by strain, the ratio of stress and strain. So, force F by A divided by del L by L. So, F by A into del L. So, this is the stress. This is the Young modulus of the material of the wire. Okay. So, stress and strain. If we divide stress by strain, we will get the Young modulus of the material. Next, we need to know about spring constant. What is spring constant? So, let us draw a spring. What is spring? A spring looks like this. Okay, suppose the spring is attached to this side. Now, if you pull it with a force, then suppose it displays the x unit. So this is force, you whatever you gave, and on withdrawing this force, it will regain its position. So a force of restitution also happens or also occurs in this direction. So this force is proportional to x. That is the proportional to the elongation. So, or the displacement. So, F equals to minus Kx. Why minus sign is there? Because force of restitution is the opposite it forms on the opposite direction of the elongation. Elongation occurs in this direction, X, and force of restitution occurs in this direction, which will restore it. Okay, so F is proportional to minus Kx. This K is known as spring constant. Now, how to define spring constant? So, we can write K is equals to or minus K is equals to F by X. Now, if X equals to 1, then K is equals to F, we can say, neglecting the minus sign. We are not talking about the sign because sign only indicates the direction of force is in the opposite direction of the elongation. So, here K is equals to F. So, we can say for unit elongation, the amount of force required for a particular spring is known as is numerically equal to the force. Okay, or the spring constant of a spring is numerically equal to the force. Which force? Which will produce unit elongation. Okay, or to produce unit elongation, the amount of force required is numerically equal to the string constant of the particular body or of the particular string. Okay, so this is all about the chapter. So you will read the chapter, you will go through the chapter carefully, and if you have any doubt, then you can comment on that comment box below. And if you like my video, then press the like button, and if you not subscribed yet, then please subscribe my channel for this kind of videos. And on our next class, we will do some numerical problems based on this chapter, based on the electricity. Okay, thank you for watching.